So one of 18, step included. So I come from a big family. It's 5 boys. I'm the first to graduate high school, the only kid to graduate college, or the first and only. My parents got divorced when I was young, so I grew up with a lot of depression because I felt it was my fault. Coming up in the black community, we don't really talk about our feelings and stuff like that, so it's not a great place to express yourself and just have an outlet. I grew up with a lot of depression, physical abuse, very strict dad, had some sexual abuse that I dealt with. I didn't realize that until I got older, but it happened. I started doing meditations, thinking about my childhood, and realized what actually happened. And I talk about this to people when I'm telling them my story. When I was 13, because of the depression and all that stuff, I tried to, in my life, I went in the bathroom and tried to strangle myself. I thought I locked the door, but I didn't. My stepdad actually walked in and stopped me. And luckily I found sports. It was whatever clicked, just was gifted with genetics, always super fast and loved to run track. So I got really addicted to sports, and that kind of led me all the way to college, getting a scholarship and whatnot. I always talk about awareness, exposure and awareness to what's out in the real world. In high school doing sports, all I saw high school coaches, trainers, being in the sports world, that was it. Never thought I could be an attorney or a doctor or anything like that. It was just literally athlete. I knew I wanted to go to college. I ended up getting my degree in kinesiology, and that was basically it. Found personal training, went right into it, and just started training from there. I think the biggest thing for me was getting more exposure from my clients. That showed me all these different business owners and things like that. And it actually, when I think about my childhood, I was an entrepreneur early on. We used to go, it was not legal, we used to go steal mangoes and oranges. We used to go fishing, crabbing, pulling up clams and selling them on the corner store or guys fishing on the dock. We used to make money that way, cutting grass, raking leaves. So it's crazy. Coming out of college, I had that niche of basically create my own business, my own hustle. And looking back, I was born to do that type of stuff. So my buddy, Seth, I haven't seen him and talked to him in forever, but he was the one top trainer in the area when I got back into Fort Myers. He was working at what was called the Omni Club. It was all high-end lawyers, doctors, everybody worked out there that had money. And he was from California. And he told me about CrossFit in 2011 and told me that Open was starting. So in 2012, the Open did terrible. But I literally trained 2 weeks before it. Didn't know what I was doing. Box jumps looked terrible and falling apart because it's way different than football training. Training for a sport versus working out is the sport. Did that, then kind of wait for a little bit. And then there was a competition called Pantheon Games in Miami. And I did that. And Noah Olsen actually scratched. They had a long jump. And I ended up doing good on that, but he scratched twice, which got me 3rd place, and I won $500. Nice. And that's what got me hooked on. I was I can make money doing this. And from that point on, I was hooked. I ended up getting with CrossFit Invictus. I think it was 2013 when I signed on with them for programming and just training my ass off. I was a bigger athlete than most guys, so I ended up getting crazy strong. Ended up making the games in 14 as an individual. Missed. So handstand push-ups and cardio were always my weakness. So I ended up missing regionals in 2015, made it 2016, had the rope climb situation where literally 3 points away from making the games and right there and got a no rep of the workout. And in 2017, had a pec strain at regionals. That wiped me out. Basically gave up CrossFit. And then 2018, me and Rob made a little run at Granite Games and got 3rd. And that was crazy because all I did was for 10 months weightlifting. I won states in the 102 kilo and then hit Rob up. We trained 3 months, just hit cardio hard as hell. And my base for weightlifting was so high, getting to a 440 clean and jerk and a 340 snatch. So yeah, my base was just crazy high. So I just came in and hit cardio hard, and that's how we finished it off. And I know a lot of athletes struggle with this situation when they go from athlete to corporate or career or whatnot. I think from 6th grade on, I was track, got into football, college football, and then CrossFit Games. It was a small gap between college ball and CrossFit. So it was over 15-year stretch of just being an athlete. So it was a tough situation. And when I retired from competing in CrossFit in 2016, all the sponsor money went away. That's the hardest part because my gym, I opened the gym up and all my money went away to pay my bills. So then I was like, all right, the gym's not ready. I can make a small amount, but then I ended up having to move with my parents again because I just had nothing, savings, anything like that. Not being financially literate put me in a bad situation. And it's crazy because I always had that urge to be a successful entrepreneur, business owner, but it just wasn't the right time. So ended up selling my portion of the gym for a huge loss. And my mentor actually loaned me the money. He unfortunately passed away right after the whole COVID lockdown and whatnot. But I was able to pay him back, which for me, that was everything because, man, you want to stick to your word as a good person, good character. Yeah, I moved to Melbourne, and one of my old sponsors had a meal prep company, found me a position. I lived with him and came in and just basically tried to learn everything I could from, we used to order 600-700 pounds of like steaks, running through a $1 million machine for our meal prep, managing employees, payroll, all that stuff. So it was a great experience to see actual successful business worked, or so I thought, until it fell apart. But it taught me a lot of the skills I have now for Cerus, all the things we deal on the back end. It gave me a good start on that, and even with the corporate world, having a corporate job or whatnot. 2019, we did Waterpalooza, and we should have never did it. Cost way too much money, and we over ordered on a ton of food and basically blew the business up. And that's when I found out my daughter was on the way. So literally I got first soon to be dad, first kid ever dealing with this situation, $1,600 to my name, no other kind of job ready for me. Ended up leaving that, moved in with my girl's brother in his place. And it was like such an ego, destroyed my ego, my pride, because it's like I barely know a brother, moving in, got my daughter on the way, and scary as hell be in that situation. But how I was raised is like you just step up and be a man and figure it out. Went like 6 weeks, no job, sent out over 200 resumes, which was crazy. On LinkedIn, Recruiter, all these different websites and whatnot, nothing. Luckily my girl, she had a friend that owned one of the bars, got a security job at a nightclub. Maybe 2 weeks later, then I ended up starting roof. Found another guy I knew, met through meal prep. So we used to lay those big clay tiles on the roofs of like apartment complexes, military bases, and whatnot, and just did that. And it was rough because I'm literally bringing home like $1,500 a month for that little stretch, doing both of the jobs and just getting no sleep, working nights, 5 days a week, doing the security. And I reached out one of my old buddies that I knew from the meal prep company, bodybuilder guy. He came in. I knew he worked in pharma. We talked a couple times. I hit him up on Facebook, asked him how he got into it, process and all that. He said he went to Enterprise, run a car. And I never thought of that because I just think it's, renting cars out. But it turned out they have one of the top management trainee programs in the world, and pharmaceutical companies pull from there, medical device, pharma. So that same day I looked on there, they just put a job opening. You talking about somebody looking out for me. Got the job, went through the interview process, 5-6 interviews, got the job. I was there 2 months while still working the same other 2 jobs. So I was literally getting 3-4 hours of sleep. I remember most days I would go through like 2-3 Bang energy drinks because I was so tired. I would eat cold canned chili, like a 79-cent chili, 2 a day, because that's all the money I had. That lasted for a 2-month period. It felt like forever. But it was 2 months of doing all 3 jobs, and then I got a phone call from a recruiter out of nowhere, and he said, I think I have something for you. Are you interested? And it was in the pharmaceutical sales world. Ended up landing that position, and I told him my story. Talking about now, I told him that same thing. I won't find somebody more hungry than I am. I have a daughter on the way, working 3 jobs, and I'm top 5 in my metrics at Enterprise. And they hired me. And literally, Christina, she still has the video of me on the phone when they made that phone call. And they offered me the job, and it was like a finger snap, literally making 4 times the money and just like life change. Wow. Medical sales is a great career, and most people, they stick with it. They might invest in stocks or real estate or something like that. Being an entrepreneur is in my roots. My dad owned his own barbershop. What I did as a kid, just hustling. It's like a thrill to me, taking an idea and creating something and building it into something people can appreciate. It's a cool feeling. But during the COVID lockdown, one of my old buddies who worked for a supplement sponsor I had called me and said he was starting a supplement company or thinking about it. And I was like, well, if I do something, I want to create something that just literally nobody else has it. And I went back to CrossFit, looked through all the supplements, and nothing changed. It was all the same bodybuilding style pre-workouts, beta alanine, just being jacked out of your mind during workouts. It makes no sense for a CrossFit athlete who needs to pace at high heart rates, control their breath, recover fast between intervals, to be taking pre-workout like this. And caffeine is a vasoconstrictor, so it makes no sense to be taking 200-300 milligrams of caffeine. I see athletes all the time drinking Bang and Monster and all this stuff. They have no idea they're hurting their workout. So I was like, what if I can mimic CrossFit, as in like the sport is performance and the lifestyle is health? So like I wanted to create CrossFit in a bottle. And that's where the random idea started. So I started looking up herbs on heart health, lung function, blow, VO2, recovery, lowering RPE, all that stuff we want from a supplement and the results we want out of it, training and performance. And literally order every ingredient in liquid form because I knew liquid absorption was the fastest way to get it into your bloodstream. And just start mixing and matching, do a workout. And then I found the right formula. That's when I ended up hitting you and Rob up and basically said, look, I got something that I'm messing around with. Y'all want to try it out? The number one thing for us, I think, is to bridge the gap with every product between performance and health. We want people to be able to take every product every day if they need to. We're not going to work for everybody because herbals is a whole different world. So we try to make the potency high enough so people can get max results from each one. So we just focus on that, just highest quality ingredients, the flavors, making sure we get testing for athletes with Informed Sport. We're small and doing it bootstrap, but we're working towards that becoming a brand of athletes. We always talk about like by athletes for athletes. So we want to stick to that. The goal is to create an ecosystem. So when I think of Cerus, I've always been fascinated with one word brands. And that's how I came up with the name, because of Nike. And just like I think of Nike and the Greek god of victory, and I found Cerus was a white bull with gold horns. And me as an athlete, I was always a strong athlete in CrossFit. That's where the bull came about and whatnot. It represented me as an athlete, but who I am now. Like I have so much potential in myself. Realize your potential is one of our taglines. And I'm just like being disciplined and harnessing all that chaos that I had in the past with making mistakes and whatnot, but putting this focus into this company to give athletes what they want. So training, supplements, apparel, just a one-stop shop for athletes to come to and know we got their back. I honestly think I was built for like these tough times, to be the person that, like, I'm blessed with genetics. Nobody in my family is gifted in that sense. Like all the chaos growing up, and I refused to have that for my family. The first thought when my daughter was on the way and I lost everything, that's why I worked so hard, is I refuse to let my daughter see this lifestyle. And even to this day, I make great money now in medical device space, but I'm pushing myself because I know I'm capable of more. I want people to see that coming from where I came from, just applying yourself and being disciplined and believing in yourself. Like I know I'm worthy now. Longest time I didn't feel like I was worthy. That survival guilt and not having that self-love was the biggest breakthrough when I lost everything and had to start from ground zero. I need to prove to myself I'm worthy by just being disciplined and working through all this stuff. But I honestly believe I was built for all of this.